Welcome to part 2 of our series of videos on this L405. In this episode we'll show you the installation of the ACE pipework over the rear axle and also the rebuild of the vehicle after.
It's still not going to be an easy route. That's air conditioning that's leaking, not suspension. But you could take it in, they pump it out, salvage the gas and then refit the gas.
Yeah, mostly
is what the actual job is.
But to get to that,
they can do it from here. The tank wasn't actually covering that. Because all they've got to do is undo that bolt, slide it back, new O-ring, slide it back into the bolt.
What we're doing, Sam?
Alright, so we got to remove the connections here, here, and this bracket. This one's flexible, and then it's trying to shove that over the top of the subframe, so we can get the pipe out that goes all the way through to the front.
Right, so the first bolt's out, so what we've got to do is just go along, take all these brackets off first.
Yeah.
Let's get them all out. So put a rubber dampener on this, and if I try and unscrew it, it's going to spin it, so I'm going to try and grip the end of the dampener and see if it will stop it spinning. But it worked, look.
Right.
I would say they're not wrong saying there's water in that.
Yeah. Get rid of that. You'll be counting the number of times I trip over the shit on the video. Think about the corner at all. Oh, it went. Wait, no more food.
What would you have done different? Paid 12 grand.
So that bit there in the middle is £1,400 on its own, which is why I'm not changing it.
Seriously, Jesus Christ.
The back one?
Yeah.
And the front one's 6?
Yeah.
The front one, the back one's not like that?
No. Try and take as many brackets off as we can. So Richard, what have we got to? Because this has been a pain in the butt so far.
Alright guys, yeah, so where we're at now, we didn't record it because we've got quite a bit of stuff to think about. So what we've done with this vehicle now is to get the pipes out. I couldn't see any way of getting them over the top of the cross member without lowering the cross member. So what we've done is we've brought the vehicle down to a safe height. We've split the air pipes to the rear airbags and dropped all the air out of them, and we've lowered the cross member on its bolts, which we've managed to drop about a good 3 inches, or 75mm if we're in new school. That's given us enough room where we can get right across the top of the axle and manage to pull the old hose out. So I'm going to go in and try and feed the new hose over the top now. we might have a bit of success and this hasn't been a wasted day.
We've got it supported on the trolley jack just in case it sort of moves around a bit too much because the airbags and shocks, etc. What's up with them at the minute?
Well, we've got no air in the suspension. It's the cross member's technically hanging on the last inch of each bolt and on the shock absorbers, so the jack's not really doing a lot. It's there in case I undid a screw too far and dropped it, but it seems to be sitting there quite nice and stable, so I'm happy enough to get the pipe back over the top and then get some bolts wound in again so that the vehicle's on its way. We had to relocate it on the ramp because when we were lifting it to full height, we were supporting it on the front cross member bolts on the other side, and obviously because we've had to remove them, we've gone onto the chassis of the vehicle, which is just box section on the body shell. I'm not really happy with lifting it at that height. It's not the most stable, so I thought if we only lift it 6 or 8 inches off the ground, then crawl around underneath.
Yeah, that's the crevice it's got to go over.
So I've now managed to gain quite a bit of room there. So this is the first attempt at trying to get this pipe over, so we're not sure how it's going to go. So here goes. So here's the brand new pipe. Got loads of room under here, to be fair.
The fuel tank's out the way.
Yeah.
We're about a foot off the floor with the wheels, but we can sit up. Oh, that was nearly over, by the way. There we go. Yeah, we've appeared. I'm just getting the loose pipes over. They're over.
What we're going to do is take this little bracket rubber damper off and swap it with one of the other ones from further down. So if you can get me the pipe grips,
Yeah.
I'll take this damper out, we'll change it for another one, then we've got an original bolting point back under, and we can change these at a later date. I'd like to do a bit of a better video of this, but I'm actually stuck underneath the jack. But I've managed to get the bolts back through in the front of the cross member, and we've got the pipe over the top. I can't quite locate it exactly where it needs to go because we need to remove the side step so that we can get the pipe underneath the top part of it here. Once we get in there, then it's straight back in and it's finished on the vehicle. So if you can lower the jack, Sam, I can get my leg back and then we can pull this up a little bit.
You ready?
Yeah, if you just lower it down gently, make sure not to cut that cable. That's it, I've got my leg free, so that's a bonus.
Well, Richard, what exactly are you doing right now?
Right, so we've, because I'm a little bit of a big fella, there's no way I was going to be able to crawl under this vehicle, but because we've got a whole big cavity under here from where the fuel tank was taken out, I've actually lowered the vehicle down onto the floor with me underneath it. It's sort of worked. I've now got to unbolt the side step so that we can put the pipe under it, because we can't actually bolt the rear cross member in until the pipe's in the right place, because it's going to pinch the pipes, I've found. So we've supported the back of the vehicle on the lifting eye, which is not a lifting eye, it's more of a recovery tow point. And I'm going to try and drop this side step on, if I can find this last bolt that is under there. I need a 13mm ring spanner, please, Sam, and then we can drop this side step off.
No worries, me and Leanne are off for dinner. We'll see you in 40 minutes.
Okay, mate, yeah, no problem. As it stands at the moment, we've got the rear cross member all bolted back in with the axle all attached. We've replaced these two pipes, put new ones in. There was a lot of coolant spray around here, apparently picked up by Land Rover under a high pressure test. The top pipe on this one didn't seem to be sealed very well, so I've refitted them and I've just put a bit of RTV around the pipe. When we installed them, put the clamps all back on. This bottom pipe has a restrictor in it, just so that for information, and it just pushed inside a 16mm pipe, We didn't bother buying genuine parts Land Rover for that because I had a bit of that on the shelf. We've refitted all the rear suspension pipe, that's all back in and up onto the manifold. We haven't connected the rear pipes yet because I'm tempted to fill it with a bit of fluid, and I'd like to see it run out of the back, and we're just going to try and flush some fluid through the rear anti-roll bar before we run that. So the next job we've got is we're going to try and lift the fuel tank back into place. Right, so just as a little note to go alongside that, we're not going to connect the pipework and the cables on the top of the fuel tank. We'll do that when it's in position because we've got a removable cap here, and when we pulled the tank out we didn't realise it was already in the air. We had to get it down because we'd already got things unbolted on the vehicle and supported, so we did manage to reach up and get everything undone. We're just going to push the fuel tank back up, and then when we get it on the floor we'll lift that cap out and we'll refit the pipes and connectors back onto the fuel tank. So using the transmission jack to lift it up because neither of us are that strong. And we've got transmission jacks, so as they say in health and safety, use mechanical handling where possible.
Alright, props in place. Time to put some Loctites on the threads and tighten them to 150, it says in the manual.
Well, my impact gun goes to 150, so it sounds like I'm pretty, we're going to be alright with that. So, just put a little bit of thread lock on the ends of the nuts. My gun had to cut the top off it because it all sealed in the end and I couldn't get it out. So.
Not waste, not whatnot.
Yeah, considering it's 15 quid a bottle, it's not worth throwing away, is it? Considering I'm just going to pour a bit more out at a time than I mean to. But you don't need to pour thread lock all the way up your bolts, you only want a little bit on the end. It doesn't matter how long you leave it on the bolt either, really. The reason you can leave it on for a long time is it's anaerobic, so it doesn't go off until the air's taken away from it. Rotate it, please. Hold that. Rotate.
Just a little bit.
Quarter. Keep going. Do you? So I will put a bar on these and just give them a yank up as well.
Yeah.
Sam's at the back, he's got a big spanner wedged onto the chassis. I'm just going to try and see if it will move. It probably won't. Okay, probably will. There you go, that's one. Move it round then please, mate.
Yeah, just done it.
Oh, that'll do. You locked it?
Yeah, best I can. I'll just leave the lock off. Not very good lock off, but there we go.
We're just going to start mounting up the heat shields now. Prop shaft's in position, so we're all good. What type of nut is it? Shorts. Okay, so just get the bolts in place first before you start tightening it up, that way then everything needs to move. It's not much of an effort. We're just about to fit the exhaust on this now, so we've prepared the flanges. We're going to lift her up and see if it'll go in.
I'll come and sort it out, don't worry.
Try and get it a bit further forward. Okay, lift her up.
So many things to reconnect on an exhaust.
Not sure if this is going to hold. First time I've used gun gum paste. I normally use the tube.
Yeah.
I'm quite impressed with the paste. It's a lot thicker. It stays in place. It doesn't run off. It seems to have like strands of fiberglass or something in it. So hopefully that's going to do a better job than stuff that I've used in the past.
Thanks for watching part 2. Just to recap, we covered the installation of the ACE pipework through the rear of the vehicle by dropping the rear subframe. We've changed coolant hoses which were leaking at the rear of the vehicle. We refit the subframe, the fuel tank, prop shaft, heat shields and the exhaust. If you want to see the removal of these parts, watch part 1 which is already on our YouTube channel. Part 3 will be coming up soon, and in that we will be installing the new ACE anti-roll bar to the front of the vehicle, which is the active anti-roll bar. We'll be installing new brake lines to the rear of the vehicle and we will bleed both of these systems.